Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of Is This Thing On? I know I'm recording this super late. I'm sorry. I was asleep for pretty much half of the day, guilty, and running errands. And I just literally had my first meal of the day. So, it's safe to say I'm groggy and I probably need some coffee right now. But regardless, we're starting this episode off with me being lazy. I mean, what's new? Anyhow, today we're going to be talking about being bilingual. That's right, knowing two languages. Because being bilingual is my whole life. If you didn't already know, English is not my first language. It's actually Spanish. Been speaking Spanish since I could speak, and usually I speak Spanish at home with my parents, and when I'm out and about with friends, it's mostly English. I know some of you are going to probably ask me, like, so do you think in Spanish or do you think in English? And the answer to that is both. It just depends on who I'm talking to, what I'm talking about, just in general, because there's certain things in English that I'll like hear them and I don't know what they mean, but then I'll hear it in Spanish and I'm like, oh, that makes sense. And so like I'll translate it to English. So automatically whenever I hear something in like English, my automatic response is to like translate it to Spanish, and from Spanish to English, vice versa. So I'm very fast paced in that sense of the word. So growing up, having both languages, being a part of my life was obviously a little bit tricky at first because, like anyone that's learning a new language, when you first come into a new country, it can be a little bit hard, especially reading and enunciating words and just figuring out how to say something and trying to not make a fool out of yourself. And luckily for me, I came to the US very young. I was like almost 4 years old. So I grew up here my whole life, and it was pretty easy for me to learn English right away. I think by the time I was in first grade, I was like basically already pretty fluent in English. Um, it didn't take me that long, and I guess it's because I was so young, and when you're a child, your brain just absorbs everything and you're like a little parrot repeating and saying everything back. And so it wasn't really that hard for me to pick up the language, and I think that's the case with most children that are being raised in a bilingual environment or a household where multiple languages are spoken. I think that if you're able to learn a language at a very, very young age and obviously hear it and see it being practiced around, and then be around with people that know that language, you're more likely to pick it up very quickly. So that's really nice. I hope that if I ever have kids, they will be bilingual and their first language is going to be Spanish. So no fighting me on that to my future husband, who's ever out there. The kids are going to learn Spanish first, okay? Sorry. It's just what's going to happen. Can't fight me on that. Sorry. Unless it's like another cool language like French or German or Russian, like by all means we can teach them that first and then do Spanish. But yeah, so growing up bilingual was always fun, always interesting. I think the number one thing that people do when they're bilingual is, it's fun because, and I'm trying not to really curse anymore, but cursing in two languages is just so fun, especially in Spanish. I feel like the curse words are just, they're extra, and it just sounds so much more funny and more dramatic, and it's like, it's even better when people that don't know Spanish or any language that you're like talking about, and they're like, what just happened? Like, I did not hear anything you just said. And then down here where I grew up in the RGV, I'm not gonna say what city I live in because I don't want a stalker. But it's very much a Tex-Mex situation. And down here, a lot of people think they're bilingual, but they're actually not. It's called Spanglish, mixing Spanish and English together. And I'd like to tell you that that is not an official language. I'm sorry to say it. It's just because I grew up speaking proper Spanish, so my automatic instinct is to correct anyone that is wrong. And sometimes I I hear the funniest pronunciation sometimes in Spanish. I mean in English, and I hear people pronouncing words in Spanish, and even people that look Mexican sometimes, and they don't speak a word of Spanish, and then I hear them try to speak in Spanish, and it's just so funny because it's like, I guess they didn't really grow up Latino or Hispanic, because obviously their pronunciation would have been a lot different. And when people have heard me speak Spanish, they're like, "Oh my God, I thought you were white. I thought you were Russian. Like, what are you? Like, why do you speak perfect Spanish? Like, blah, 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 blah." And it's like, I have to go in debt and just explain my whole family history. And it's a little tricky. It's a little confusing. And then they're like, "Oh, okay, I get you." But yeah, being bilingual is incredibly beneficial. I think that a lot of jobs nowadays, at least down here where I live, require you to speak both languages. Um, or you're sort of put at an advantage if you speak both languages. There's more job opportunities for you if you speak both languages. And I've been very grateful that I've had a good amount of opportunities because of my bilingualism. So, but yeah, the culture down here, because I live in Texas and I grew up down here in the RGV, the 956 area. Again, don't stalk me. Um, Culture down here is just, it's very much Tex-Mex, and very a lot of Mexicans that have moved from Mexico down here have assimilated really well down here. And I think that's part of the reason people from even like San Antonio or Austin or Dallas will come down here and eat tacos, because the tacos down here are just so good. I mean, I don't eat them anymore because I'm vegetarian, but when I would, they were super good. Then I would go back to my hometown and they were even better because it's actual Mexico. But the tacos down here are a pretty close second. They're pretty good. I can see why everybody raves about them. Tamales, tamales are great, especially around Christmas time. Down here, if you're from the RGV, you know about Delia's and how packed it can get sometimes, especially around the holidays. If you don't order that dozen when you're supposed to order it, you're screwed. You're toasted. You are done, because you will probably not be able to eat tamales for either Thanksgiving or Christmas, which is what a lot of Mexicans down here eat, and even people that are not Mexican, they'll also eat pozole, menudo, which growing up I think I liked pozole more instead of menudo because menudo was like the fat and pozole was like more meat. But now I don't eat either of those, so I don't really care for it. But it was good growing up. I don't know if I have a favorite Mexican dish because I like all the food. Obviously now I have to cater it to my dietary needs, but I'm not that picky. I mean, everything seems pretty good, pretty nice. And, sometimes I wish I would have gone to school in Mexico just to see how much different school would have been from down here to over there because I grew up down here in the valley. And in the valley, school's a little bit different down here than it is in Mexico. In Mexico, they have primaria, which is like primary school, which is like elementary school, if you didn't know what that meant. And basically, elementary school down here is from first through fifth grade. Unless you go to school in Sherryland, it is still it's pre-K all the way to sixth grade. In Mexico, I believe it's also like pre-K all the way to like sixth grade. And then over here in the States, it's for middle school or secondary school, whatever you call it. In Mexico, it's called secundaria. You go to seventh. Here in the States, it's sixth, seventh, and eighth. Unless you go to Sherryland, well, it's a little bit different. In Mexico, it's seventh, eighth, and ninth grade for middle school, for secundaria. And then you have preparatoria, preparatory school, which is basically high school over here. And high school over here is 9, 10, 11, and 12th grade. And over there in Mexico, it's 10, 11, and 12th grade. And then you go to college, I think, or you go to tech school or whatever it is that you're doing with your life. Sorry guys, I'm like spacey now because I haven't had coffee today and I'm a little tired. I woke up super late today. I hadn't checked my phone. I hadn't realized that I had like phone calls and texts and just a bunch of things. It's amazing the things you miss when you put down your phone because we're constantly glued to that thing. But yeah, anyways, so that's what school down here is like compared to over there in Mexico. The other kind of differences is that I just am glad that I never lost my Mexican roots, and I never lost me speaking Spanish, because a lot of what tends to happen is that people from Mexico will bring their children over here when they're very young, and of course children will assimilate into American culture and they'll forget their Spanish, and then by the time they're like, I don't know, teenagers, they won't know a single word of Spanish. And I mean, I was always grateful that my parents always spoke to me in Spanish. They never were ashamed of their culture, and they never wanted me to forget it. And so I was able to keep my Spanish until, my adult life now. And maybe one day, one of these days, I'll do an entire podcast episode in Spanish. I don't know what y'all would want me to talk about in Spanish, but I could do an entire podcast episode in Spanish. Like, just let me know what you want me to talk about. My childhood was pretty fun, I would say. From before I came to the States, I felt like I was a very spoiled child. I had really nice birthday parties. Every year we had a theme for my birthday. I think the biggest one I remember having was a Sesame Street themed birthday. And I don't know if it was Barney themed or princess themed. I don't know what it was. I remember the Sesame Street characters came to my birthday party. So did Barney. So did like princess characters. Oh well, when I was like maybe like 1 or 2, I did have like uh Anastasia theme birthday party. That's like a little Russian princess. I don't know if she's part of the Disney franchise. I don't think she is. So I had that as a theme because if you didn't know, I'm partially Russian. So there's that too. And we're just having a lot of fun, and my birthdays were huge. I had a lot of like people come, like a lot of my aunts and uncles. I have a big family, especially on my mom's side. She's the youngest of 10, so I have a lot of aunts and uncles and cousins that I constantly keep hearing about but don't know. I went to preschool over there too, and I think the earliest memory I have from being in preschool in Mexico is that over there they have Dia de la Bandera or Mes de la Bandera, Day of the Flag or something like that. And basically, over there in Mexico, it's protocol that you wear a uniform from like primary and preschool all the way up till high school. And on Dia de la Bandera, we had to wear a little uniform. And then I remember I was marching around with this giant flag. And I have a picture of it. I wish this was a video instead of a podcast. Then I could show you guys the picture of me in my little uniform marching around with a flag from Honduras, if you speak English. It was just really cute, and I just looked so like confused and like afraid of marching around. And another thing that's really interesting about Mexico, is that over there you can choose to go to school either in the morning or in the afternoon. And because over there they're pretty much done with class by like 1 o'clock. And then you could go to school from like 7 or 8 o'clock in the morning until like 1 o'clock. And then you could also go to school from like 1 to 5. And I thought that's cool. I think they should have that here like sometimes because I'm not a morning person. I had to force myself to be into waking up super early every single day to go to school because it was just a chore. I mean, now I'm a little bit better about waking up and going places early because of work and because of school. It was just ingrained in me at a young age. But that's really nice. I mean, I don't think it's nice for the teachers because they have to, it's later in the day and I'm pretty sure they want to be home with their families. But it's nice for the students that they can go whenever they please. Another thing that's nice over there is that they have I feel like they have a lot more holidays than over here. Like they get their Independence Day off over there. They also get like an entire, almost a month, or is it like 2 weeks, maybe 3 weeks, for Holy Week over there, Semana Santa. And they almost get like a month off sometimes from Semana Santa, which is Holy Week or Holy Month. I don't know. I'm not Catholic anymore, so I can't really speak on that. Um, and I remember going to church too over there. I was really little. I think I have pictures of me in a white dress. I don't know if they baptized me or it was just like for a ceremony or something. Um, I was already like 2 or 3 years old in those pictures, and I'm making a face because they put like a little flower crown on me and everything, and I didn't want it. I didn't want to wear the flower crown, so it's there, just um, in a photo album somewhere. Maybe I'll post it on Instagram one day. The other thing that I miss about being seeing my hometown. I'm sorry, guys. I'm literally falling asleep. um, Another thing that I miss about my hometown is like getting to see my cousins and getting to go down to the plaza, and like buying the pan dulce and seeing all the people that were there, and then going to, there's a lagoon that we have, and it's called Laguna del Carpintero, the lagoon of the carpenter. And there's basically there's alligators there, and there's like, it's very like mossy slash like marsh like, and it's pretty. I mean, it's kind of dangerous because there's alligators there, but it's pretty. You can take like a little boat, and you can go through the laguna and see like the gators and stuff like that. Um, Also like the beach, Playa Marimar, is nice. Oh my gosh, guys, I'm gonna have to get coffee after this. I remember going to the beach with my cousins. When I would like go and visit, and I would have like sleepovers with them at their house, and we would go to the beach, and that was a lot of fun. They would grill elotes, corn on the beach, and it tasted so good. There's nothing like a good elote on the beach. The seafood was also like 10 times better over there. Like, it was pretty good. I don't really eat seafood anymore because, I'm vegetarian. But it was really, really good. Um, I don't know, just getting to see all my cousins and all my family over there. Was a lot of fun. What else did I do over there? I don't know. My life would have been a totally different life if I had lived over there. I think I would have been like a totally different person than what I am now. Oh, I remember one of my favorite parts about growing up was having my grandmothers um, sing me lullabies because they would take care of me when my parents were working. And luckily, my grandmas were neighbors, so either one of them could take care of me, and I would go over to their house, and they would just sing me lullabies when I was little. And then I would remember coming over to my grandma's house, and she was making me frijoles negros with queso fresco, and that was always really good. I always enjoyed it. It's really nice. I loved Kinder Eggs growing up too, but I remember for a long time I think in the US they got banned because of the little toy that's in the Kinder Egg. I don't know if that's still a thing. I think now they took out the toy, but I don't know because I've gone to like stores and they still have Kinder eggs. So I'm either thinking either Nestle made an agreement with the Kinder Egg company and was able to bring the Kinder eggs over here to the US, or because I remember they were banned because of the little toy that was inside them. So I don't know, but those were great. Those were fun. They were really good to eat. The chips always tasted better over there too. The cheese ruffles and the Takis, and ugh, so good. And the soda, so good. And then we had they still have them in my hometown, but there's these like sandwiches. We call them tortas. I know torta in Spain means cake, so it's completely different. But torta in just Mexico means sandwich. And they have these tortas called tortas de la barda, and those were so good. They would put um I don't know what type of bread it was, but it was a very thick bread, and they would put aguacate, which is avocado, and then they would put ham, they would put queso fresco, they would put like shredded meat. They would put like a bunch of things on it, and it was really, really, really good. It was like one of my favorite things to eat over there. The culture of the food is just so, it's not super different, but it is different in the sense that it just feels a lot more homey, like, you know, like right around the corner of where my grandmas live, there was a tortilleria, and we could go get tortillas, and that was always nice. And like a few blocks away from our house over there was this giant mango tree, and the mangoes from that tree were so sweet and so good, and that was always nice. The only thing I did not like is that the AC over there would never work. It was so humid. I would get bitten so much by mosquitoes. But other than that, I missed my childhood over there. It was so nice. I had a really good childhood. And I mean, I miss my grandmas. I wish they were both still alive. They were great people, and I wish I could have taught both of them English. But it's okay, because my grandmas were so sweet and so nice. And I remember they would just, grandmas are just so good at what they do, at taking care of their grandkids and being warm and welcoming. I'm a little biased to say this, but Mexican grandmas are the best. Their food is just so good. And the little lullabies that they would sing to me when I was a little girl. And there's this thing also that we used to do. It was like a New Year's tradition, but every year that it was like a new year, there was these like things that we would make. I think they were like dolls, like life-size dolls that we would make out of newspaper and paper mache. And basically, you would get all this newspaper, you would get some old clothes that you had that you didn't wear anymore, and you would light up that doll on fire, and it was basically like a symbolism for the new year coming. And you would like set it outside of your house, obviously, because you don't want your house to burn. And that's just something that we would do. I remember that was fun. Guys, I'm so sleepy. Yeah, my childhood was just really nice. It was really great getting to see my cousins and going down to the beach, going to the plaza, and all the little stores that were there were really nice. Yeah, I miss my home. So that was just a little glimpse of some of my life that I had growing up Mexican. If you want to hear me talk more, maybe I can do a part 2 to this on my podcast. Yeah, sorry guys, I'm just like not feeling it today. I'm like really sleepy and tired, and it's just, I don't know. But I want to encourage all of you guys to stay safe out there. Make sure you're wearing your mask. There's no excuse for you not to wear a mask. Make sure you're keeping your distance. It's very, very important. Remember, guys, that I also always have a podcast number if you'd like to call it and leave me podcast suggestions. That would be amazing. The number for this podcast is 956-278-0720. That's 956-278-0720. One more time, 956-278-0720. You can leave me a voicemail. You can text that number. You can call that number. Whatever your heart desires. There's also going to be a little voice message link that you can click on in the description of this podcast, and it goes directly to the podcast website, and you can just leave a little voice message there, and who knows, maybe I'll feature it on the next podcast episode, and maybe you can be a guest on the next podcast episode. I don't know. It's all up to you guys. Anyways, with that in mind, guys, please stay safe. Please keep your mask on. Please take care of yourself and your family, and nourish your body with healthy foods. And we're going to get through this together. So with that in mind, go forth, prosper, and God bless. Bye.